We can use both the wind and the clouds to find our way. There are lots and lots of different techniques, some of them quite complex, but we're going to keep it nice and straightforward to begin with. The key thing is every breeze and every cloud is there for a reason. So every time we feel the wind or see a cloud, we can ask ourselves, what is it telling us? Sometimes we can answer that quickly, sometimes it's a little bit trickier, but we should always ask the question. The best thing to do to start out when you're using the wind to find or hold direction is to get to the highest local point you can. The lower you are within a landscape, the more the wind has come into contact with the ground and the more friction comes into play and the more it bends. So the higher we can get, the more true the wind, the closer we're getting to the general wind direction. So I've come to a local high point here just to feel the wind, and that's a good exercise actually. We've talked about how the sense of sight is very powerful, and what happens when you're trying to work out where the wind is coming from is that you'll feel it coming from a general direction, then your eyes will pick something convenient and tell you that's where the wind is coming from. So what I recommend you do is actually feel it on your face and close your eyes, and then you can turn your head from side to side, and when you feel the wind equally on both cheeks, you just reach out an arm and gently come down in a karate chop motion, and if you feel the wind equally on both sides of your hand, you are pointing dead into wind. If it's a bit cooler on the back of your hand, you need to move your arm a bit cooler on the palm, move it back. And with your eyes closed, you keep doing that exercise until you feel it equally here and equally on both sides of your hand. Then you open your eyes and you look at what you're pointing at. So what we're doing there is we're using the sense of touch in combination with our sense of sight. We can now look into the distance, and I can see in the distance there, I can see the edge of a woodland. That is where my hand was pointing, and that is a visual anchor. So whenever I'm walking in this area now, I can say that's where the wind was coming from. We then use the sun or any other of the direction techniques that we've been honing and give it a label. So in this case, I can say it's coming from the edge of the woods, very close to southeast. Now we know that unless there's a massive weather change, the wind will be coming from close to southeast. It may shift 10 or 20 degrees, it's not perfect, but without a major weather change, that wind direction will be fairly constant. We don't use moving clouds to find direction, but we can use it to hold on to direction. And what we do is anytime you see low clouds passing over you, try and take note of the direction they're coming from and going towards. And we use this when we're starting as a completely separate technique to feeling and using the wind. The two are connected in weather terms, but actually for navigation, to avoid confusion, the most important thing is treat them separately. So we might feel the wind coming from the southwest, and we hold on to that, we'll have a visual anchor. And we might see the clouds moving from west to east, and that is a separate technique. There are times when we'll want to use the wind most, and there are times when we use the clouds most. Imagine you're at the bottom of a valley, you can't feel the wind at all, but looking between the trees, looking up through the canopy, you see the clouds moving. And you noted earlier in the day they were moving from west to east. If there hasn't been a big weather change, they are giving you a good guide. It's not perfect, it's not to the degree, but it is a lot better than nothing. When looking at clouds, remember anything that has a relationship with the sun, anything that reflects its light, can give us a clue to direction. There'll be many times when you notice one side of a cloud is much brighter than the other side. So you just need to give a little bit of thought to the direction the sun is and the cloud is pointing towards it. There'll be many, many times when you can see brightness on one side of a cloud but can't see the sun. But by thinking about where the sun is, you can get a compass off that cloud. If it's near the end of the day and one side of the cloud is bright, might have a little tint of pink to it, that becomes your cloud compass. There's an interesting type of cloud to look for that's actually man-made. It's called a contrail. When high aircraft pass through the atmosphere, they leave in their exhaust a lot of moisture and some particles. And these are perfect seeding conditions for a new cloud. So even if there wouldn't have been a cloud on a normal day, a high aircraft can create one. And these straight, thin white lines across the sky can actually help us find our way. Because aircraft are like birds. A single aircraft can fly in any direction. But several birds or several aircraft will follow patterns. They will be flying the most common routes. So if we notice that there are several contrails, several of these thin white lines all heading in one direction, we just need to think about the trends in our part of the world. In the UK, most aircraft head from the northwest to the southeast. They are typically heading from the North American continent to the European continent. They're not all doing that, but enough of them are doing that there is a trend. So if you see several white lines all going the same way, northwest to southeast in the UK, or the trends that apply in your part of the world. Every cloud is there for a reason. If you see an isolated cumulus cloud, these are the heaped or bubbled clouds, just ask yourself, why is it in that spot? The reason will be local heating. The sun has warmed the ground, but it has warmed one patch more than any other. We find that woodlands, towns and hillsides quite often warm up more than the surrounding areas. So when we see these isolated cumulus clouds, they are part of our map. I've noticed behind me here that there's a line of clouds and they are marking the high ground. The breeze is coming in, hitting the high ground, the sun is heating the woodland there. The two effects together are creating a line of clouds. That's the reason they are there. It's not random. Very, very few things are random. And if we see clouds in one particular place or a line of them, there's meaning, and within that meaning, we can make a map. There's one particular type of cloud that you won't see every day, but when you see it, it can be really useful. It's called the lenticular cloud because it's shaped a little bit like a lens. Some people see a lens, others a saucer, and some people even see a flying saucer. What it means is that there's high ground, hills or mountains in the direction you're looking where you see that cloud. All that's happened is as winds go over the top of high ground, they get kicked a little bit by that high ground. It causes turbulence and it just creates this cap cloud on top of the wind. And that's what we see. If you practice looking for this cloud, you'll get to the point where you can actually spot high ground before you see the ground itself. The cloud is telling you the direction of the highest ground. And at that moment, it's quite exciting. You've got a map in the sky.